Good evening, everyone. I'm going to ask that you please come in and take your seats. First of all, welcome to Holyoke High North. My name is Helene Florio, and I'm president of the Holyoke Taxpayers Association. Welcome to tonight's informational debate forum, where you will get an opportunity to listen to the candidates who are running for the open at-large seats on the school committee and the city council. The theme for this debate is representing all of Holyoke. Let me just give you a quick rundown of information you will need for tonight. Spanish translation is being offered by ALA, Activating Language Access Incorporated, owned by Katie Moonen, and assisted tonight by Shana Bermudez. You can sign up for a headset in the hallway if you'd like one. Here on stage, over to my left, in the dark, is Jeff Trask, and he's live streaming the debate so that it'll be on Facebook. Filming is being done by Holyoke Media and will be available on local cable access TV within 48 hours. A big thank you to Johan Vega, who is here doing the filming tonight. Mark Todd is handling the sound, and his IT specialist, John. We have Holyoke Police Department and the Fire Department in-house with us, and we thank them for coming. MIFA has been gracious and handled the insurance. And Jerry Lane, who is the head of the Holyoke Public Schools Custodian Department, has helped in making the arrangements for getting everything here. And how do you like the newly reupholstered seats here in the auditorium? Isn't it beautiful? Thank you, Mr. Todd. We're going to ask that you turn off your cell phones, and they do interfere with sound systems, so we're asking you to turn them all the way off. And I have been asked by the people with the sound to make sure the candidates know that these microphones, you push the middle button down and you hold it down with your finger while you're talking. The minute you release your finger, the microphone goes off. And if you make an error from the sound booth, they'll be able to shut you off. So, but it's to hold down the button. The bathrooms are in the back, out in the hallway, men straight ahead and women to the left. We ask you to please be quiet when you're going through the doors. And now the good part of the night is our moderator, Tom Creed, Holyoke's own. Tom is the executive vice president of TD Bank. They're a commercial group business. But more than that, he's an extremely experienced moderator, and he volunteers a lot of his time here in Holyoke. We're very lucky to have him. Tom Creed.
Thank you, everybody. Good evening. And most importantly, good evening, candidates. In just a couple of minutes, we're going to get this started, but it's a privilege for me to be the moderator tonight. And I do want to point out to our candidates two very important people to you for the next few minutes, and that is John Kelly and Lori Belanger, who are seated right in front of you. There are timekeepers. This evening, each question that you'll be asked, you'll be allotted a certain amount of time in which to answer that question. We wanted to give you some help so that when you get to 30 seconds before your time is completed, you will see this sign. And then when you get to the end of your allotted time, you will see this sign. Please pay attention to the extent that you can and stay within the allotted time to the extent that you can. We want to make sure we get as many questions in as we can and be fair to everybody. But I appreciate the fact that John and Lori are both volunteering your time. Thank you very much for that. We'll begin tonight with an opening statement, 2 minutes each, with the order chosen randomly prior to this debate. We'll follow with 4 questions, order again chosen randomly, allotting 90 seconds for each answer. You've then been asked to prepare a question for your opponent. I ask that you please be brief in your inquiry, with the response also limited to 90 seconds. Summations will round out our debate in opposite order from the opening, limited to 1 minute. Now for the audience. Your cooperation is most critical. You'll only have 2 opportunities to applaud from this point on, at the beginning and at the end of our at-large school committee debate. No reactions at all, please. Any distractions will only take away from the time our candidates have to respond to our questions. Now, however, for your first opportunity to applaud, please join me in welcoming our 2 candidates, Erin Brunelle and Luissette Arroyo Rosado. As I noted, each one of you will have 2 minutes for an opening statement. We chose the order just prior to the debate, and the first opening statement is for Ms. Arroyo Rosado.
Hi, how are you, everyone? Thank you for coming today. I just want to introduce myself. 10 years ago, I came from Puerto Rico to give a better life to my children. I have 2 kids with special needs. One has autism and the other ADHD. I have suffered for discrimination due to language because my first language is Spanish. And I suffer for institution abuse for Holyoke Public School. So no school committee helped me at all. So I need to face, the system alone, which is why I decided to run to help all those parents who don't know the rights and suffer for the negligence of Holyoke Public School to know that there is not alone, that we, as school committee, am there to help them, and I ask you for your vote now, November 7th, because our kids need us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Arroyo Rosado. Ms. Brunelle, your opening statement.
Yes, good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. I firmly believe that education is the foundation to a community. It is with this in mind that I have advocated for Holyoke Public Schools and the children of Holyoke as a member of the school committee for the past 10 years. We must have a strong, stable, and equitable foundation for our community to truly thrive. I am proud to co-chair the school building committee with Mayor Garcia. Finally, Holyoke is in the process of building a brand new state-of-the-art middle school for our students and community to benefit from. Holyoke is also one of the few communities in the Commonwealth to offer dual language education. The developmental benefits of learning in 2 languages, coupled with the additional benefits of helping ease the transition for our English language learners, this program shows what can be done when you focus on developing educational practices that benefit your specific community. As we all know, Holyoke schools have been under state receivership for just about 9 years now. On Monday, September 18th, the Holyoke School Committee, along with Mayor Garcia's leadership, held a special meeting to formally petition the commissioner to end the state receivership of Holyoke Public Schools. As we look forward to exiting receivership, it is crucial that we have committee members that are experienced and dedicated to putting in the time, the work, and the effort to ensure that the students of Holyoke are provided the best educational experience possible. This is why I ask for your vote to keep me in this seat for the next 4 years.
Thank you both very much for your opening statements. The next 4 questions will be issue-related. Both of you will be asked the same question. The order of the questioning has been chosen in advance. The first question is on receivership. Your responses should be limited to 90 seconds, and Ms. Brunelle, you would be the first respondent. In April 2015, the Massachusetts Board of Elementary and Secondary Education voted to designate the Holyoke Public Schools chronically underperforming, placing the district in state receivership. Do you believe the system should be returned to local control? Why or why not? And how can you, as a school committee member, advance your view?
Thank you for the important question. I wholeheartedly believe that it is time to turn the district back over to the Holyoke School Committee. It's critical not only to help us decide who our superintendent should be, but to also honor our teachers and our paraprofessionals to be able to have the bargaining rights that they deserve. I know currently our paraprofessionals are arguing for a better contract, and unfortunately the Holyoke School Committee currently has no say in any of the terms that they're trying to negotiate. It is for these reasons that we need to end receivership now. As I mentioned, under the leadership of Mayor Garcia, the Holyoke School Committee just recently petitioned the Commissioner of Education to end receivership. That's step 1 in the process. So the Commissioner now needs to respond to us by spring, and the goal is that we'll have a transition plan in place by September of 2024 for our next school year.
Thank you. Mr. Arroyo Rosado, I'll repeat the question for you. In April 2015, the Massachusetts Board of Elementary and Secondary Education voted to designate the Holyoke Public Schools chronically underperforming, placing the district in state receivership. Do you believe the system should return to local control? Why or why not? And how can you, as a school committee member, advance your view?
I believe the receivership will be end as soon as possible because I think we, Holyoke, know more better what is better for our school. Right now, we need to bring the school back, but we need to do a change because, you know, the same person who was in the school committee is the same person who was there. So we need change everything. We need another person new to get involved in the community. 80% of the students right now are Latino, and half of the school committee are not. So we need to make a change to the school, come back very soon, and change it to the giving back.
Thank you. Question 2 is on graduation rates. Again, the respondents were chosen at random prior to the debate. This question also requires a 90-second response. The first respondent is Ms. Brunelle. Per data from the Massachusetts Department of Education, the 2022 unadjusted 4-year high school graduation rate in Holyoke was 75%, including a dropout rate of 13%. What role can you as a school committee member play to improve this statistic?
Well, one of the things that's affecting the graduation rate, as you may or may not be aware, is MCAS. So currently, all high school students in the state of Massachusetts are required to pass this standardized test in order to be issued their diploma. Right now, in front of the state legislature is an act called the Thrive Act, which would not only eliminate the high stakes results of the MCAS, it would also eliminate receivership and ensure that we're educating the whole child and not just focusing on the test. You know, critical to a district like Holyoke that my opponent mentioned is heavily Latino. We have students that come here midway through high school with English as their second language who are then expected to be able to take this standardized test that weighs so heavily on their graduation requirements in a language they're simply not fluent in. So currently I'm advocating strongly. The Holyoke School Committee has written support in support of the Thrive Act. And in early November, the Secretary of Education is coming for a luncheon at at the Delaney House. And I've submitted questions in advance to find out how he supports the Thrive Act. So we look forward to ending the graduation requirement tied to MCAS soon, which will certainly help the students of Holyoke.
Ms. Arroyo Rosado, the same question. Per data from the Massachusetts Department of Education, the 2022 unadjusted four-year high school graduation rate in Holyoke was 75%, including a dropout rate of 13%. What role can you, as a school committee member, play to improve this statistic?
Well, like me, like a school committee, I try to work with the teacher together more than the school right now, because we have a lot of after-school programs who can help better, and we can, work together to them to help the kids improve more in the math, science, every classes better, because about this result, it show this is not enough, all the time in the school. They need more practice, they need more education after school, and I will work with them to improve more after school, and we can help to be the NCAS more higher than right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 3 is on teacher retention. This question also asks for a 90-second response. Ms. Arroyo Rosado, you will respond first. The Massachusetts Department of Education's most recent data shows that Holyoke retained 67.3% of its teachers, while the state's retention rate on average is 84.6%. If elected, what steps would you take to increase Holyoke's rate of retention?
Well, I can help with them and spoke with them, because right now the condition in the department is not very good. Right now, in the receivership and everything, they need to work more for the same pay. So we need to be with them, more support them, and be the atmosphere, the environment in the school better, giving more incentive so they stay with the kids they will be better in the school. Thank you.
Ms. Brunelle, the same question. The Massachusetts Department of Education's most recent data shows that Holyoke retained 67.3% of its teachers, while the state's retention rate on average is 84.6%. If elected, what steps would you take to increase the Holyoke's rate of retention?
Well, the main thing the district needs to focus on is getting out of receivership, because once we're out of receivership, the school committee, as I mentioned before, will be able to once again negotiate our teacher contracts and ensure that the voices of the teachers are being listened to. At this past Monday night school committee, we, honest to goodness, spent our first 2 hours on this exact topic. A group of parents actually got together because they were tired of seeing their students' teachers leaving throughout the school year, and their own children constantly having new educators in the classroom. So they got together and they did a teacher survey. They were able to get over 125 or 175 teachers within the district to respond to the survey. And they came to us with a list of demands, and while I wholeheartedly agree with the demands, there's very little I can currently do as a school committee member to ensure that those demands are met. So getting out of receivership is top priority so that we can once again ensure that our educators' voices are clearly being listened to. There was a law passed not that long ago which made it a lot harder to suspend students. I fully support that because every child deserves an education. Holyoke High also just recently reinstated restorative justice, which is a great program, but behavior in the classroom is a very big problem when we don't have guidelines for discipline to be followed, and the teachers cannot teach their class with the discipline problems.
Thank you. Question 4, the subject is public school advantage. Ms. Brunelle, you will be the first respondent for 90 seconds. You are approached by a new resident of Holyoke who is debating whether to enroll their children in the Holyoke public school system versus other alternatives. How would you respond?
Well, I guess I would need to know what grade they were considering enrolling in because that would help guide the conversation. If they're a parent with anybody under the age of 9, I would highly encourage them to enroll in Holyoke Public Schools and allow their child to take benefit of our dual language program. It really is one of a kind. We have students here as freshmen in the high school who are fluent in a second language, which is remarkable. The benefits of learning a second language on the development of your brain is just, the impacts are immeasurable. So I would encourage them in that direction if they were a student with youth. If they were preparing to enter the middle schools, I also have a 7th grader at Sullivan Middle School currently, and I would highly encourage them to take tours of the schools, get familiar with what clubs are being offered and what electives their children can sign up for. As we recently redistrict from a K-8 system, we now have pre-K to 5 and a direct middle school building and high school. So leading to that, on the high school level, I would encourage them to come and talk to the principal. She's a wealth of knowledge. My daughter is thriving here as a freshman in all honors classes, is loving her freshman volleyball team, and we're really strengthening our community here in Holyoke.
Ms. Arroyo Rosado, you are approached by a new resident of Holyoke who is debating whether to enroll their children in the Holyoke public school system versus other alternatives. How would you respond?
I can say the Holyoke Public School have a lot of new stuff, like the Duolingo. They have some kind of special education. They have right now the building, the new school we doing to middle school and the high school. They have a lot of program to the after school. They have a lot of things they could, have to improve her education. And I asked them to give it the opportunity because right now we try to, get out from the receivership, and I know the school will be better after that. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, we've asked each candidate to be prepared to ask each other a question. I ask that the questions be given briefly and that the respondents get 90 seconds each to respond. The first question will be asked by Ms. Brunelle for Ms. Arroyo Rosado.
With the current state of education on the national level, we're seeing a lot of events where people are advocating for book bans. I'm curious to know whether or not you would support banning any literature here in the Holyoke Public Schools district.
In this, I don't know what kind of literature you say, because I was thinking they have some kind of literature right now, because my daughter is right now in high school, and recently she's doing some in the middle of some, I don't remember right now what is the class, but they doing some kind of book very interest. So, but I'm very agree to see what kind of literacy they're going to show right now in the school.
Thank you. Mr. Arroyo Rosado, your question for Ms. Brunelle.
Like we know you are in the position being for 8 years right now. And my question will be, what different do you do if you win again?
So I believe you're asking what I would do differently in my next term than my current term. So I've actually been on the school committee 10 years now. I served of my first 2 years representing Ward 7, and the last 8 I've had the benefit of representing the city at large. I think the critical thing to note is that we will be exiting receivership within the next 4 years, which will be returning the role to the school committee of bargaining rights and budgeting and hiring a superintendent and all of the things that a traditional school committee can do. You know, I will say we've been fortunate enough to have receivers that have always given us the time of day to share our concerns about the district, and they do listen to us, but our voices only carry us so far currently. For example, at this past Monday's meeting, I filed an order to increase recess time. You know, statistically, ADHD is up 42% over the last 8 years, and a lot of the symptoms are not being able to pay attention in class, not being able to sit still. It's proven that if we add a 20-minute morning recess and then add 10 minutes to the current lunch and recess period, that it will highly benefit our students. All of the direct results of recess are the exact symptoms of ADHD. So those are some of the procedures that I'm helping to get passed currently in the district, and I look forward to continuing that work when you all elect me on November 7th.
Thank you both. It's now time for your summations. As I noted before, the summations will be in opposite order from the opening. Your summations will be 1 minute each. Ms. Brunelle.
Yes, thank you. Thank you again, everybody, for coming, and thank you to my opponent for pulling papers and running. You know, sadly, there's a statistic that 60% of school committee seats go unopposed. There's nothing better than a community that cares about its public education. I wish every seat this year was opposed. I wish we had to face a primary. I wish every parent could get more involved. I wish every citizen got more involved. Because like I said in my opening statement, education is the foundation to a healthy community. So we need to all pick up our hammers, tighten our belt straps, and get more involved. Thank you all again for joining us, and I look forward to serving you for the next 4 years.
Mr. Arroyo Rosado, your summation.
I ask you for your vote. In my case, I empower the parents and getting back to the basic to keep the parents informed all the time, and everything, they open school, if you vote for me, I can promise I can be working with you, helping you go through for the department. Thank you.
Thank you both. The intent was to conclude this first section in 30 minutes, and you did it in exactly 30 minutes. City Council candidates, take good notes. I want to take the opportunity to say thank you to our 2 candidates. And as I said before, the second time that the audience participates in this section of the debate is to show our appreciation for both Erin Brunelle and Luissette Arroyo Rosado for their candidacy for at-large school committee in Holyoke. Thank you both for being here.